Hey everyone, John Greenwald here, creator and founder of theblackvault.com. As always, thank you so much for joining this channel. Make sure you click on the subscribe buttons down there, the thumbs up button. It definitely helps this channel a lot. Now, this is a quick blast, just kind of more of a shorter video, because I'm asked this question quite a bit, especially since we are in an election year. The year is ticking on in the crazy 2020. And every 4 years, this question comes up in the field of UFO research. And that is, are we going to see disclosure? Either with the current president, the next potential president, or just in general. Well, I was asked this for those who listened to my interview with Jimmy Church on Fade to Black Radio the other night, probably a couple weeks ago. And it is a fascinating topic for me because it really begs to ask and explore the question on whether or not a sitting United States president would actually be in the position to disclose at all. So let's say the conspiracies are true. Let's say that they are hiding a reality here about UFOs that proves beyond any shadow of a doubt that there is an extraterrestrial connection. Whether that be evidence that they've collected, whether that be some kind of collusion, whether that be some kind of communication, whatever it is, would the president know to disclose it to you? Now, I thought now was a good time to put out this video simply because, number one, I've been asked a lot, as I mentioned, but number two, President Trump just was asked again about UFOs this week on Fox News. Now, I want to play the video for you guys. That way you hear exactly what he had to say. Then we'll go ahead and explore that question a little bit more. Take a listen.
And so we're plenty of other
I've got to ask you this final question, Mr. President. I want to end on a lighter note, a mysterious subject, if you will. Can you explain why the Department of Defense has set up a UFO task force? Here's what I've got from The Guardian. The U.S. Department of Defense has formed a new body to investigate what it calls unidentified aerial phenomena, to monitor reported sightings of what most people call UFOs. Mr. President, as we wrap up here, are there UFOs?
Well, I'm going to have to check on that. I mean, I've heard that. I heard that 2 days ago, so I'll check on that. I'll take a good, strong look at that. But I will tell you this. We now have created a military, the likes of which we've never had before, in terms of equipment, the equipment that we have, the weapons that we have, and hopefully, hope to God, we never have to use them. But we have created a military, the likes of which nobody has ever had. Russia, China, they're all envious of what we've had, all built in the USA. We've rebuilt it $2.5 trillion. As far as the other question, I'll check on it. I heard about it 2 days ago, actually.
That is fascinating. By the way, do you believe Russia and China were spying and knowing our...
Okay, so that's what he said. Now, I just wanted to play for you the context of the interview, because the one thing that sticks out to me about that is Trump's been asked before. The fact that he just learned about it days ago, that doesn't make any sense to me. But the question now that I want to go back to is one I posed in the beginning, which is, would a sitting United States president know or be in the know of the UFO reality if it existed and there was this massive cover-up, which I do believe there is, and they had this proof of extraterrestrials, would a sitting United States president be in the know? And I believe history shows us the answer to that question. So it doesn't matter if Trump is going to go ahead and claim that he's going to look into UFOs or aliens or whatever it may be. I think he likes those types of questions because the videos then that go onto the internet literally turn viral. I mean, everybody loves when a president talks about UFOs. We know that because of Jimmy Kimmel. I've got some friends that work on the set over there, and whenever he has somebody that is in the position to talk about UFOs, mainly the presidents of the United States, he will ask them. He's asked Hillary Clinton, he's asked George W. Bush, he's asked Barack Obama, and of course it's humorous. I do believe he has a genuine interest in it, but of course the pieces always end with humor or jokes, or essentially the presidents like Obama and George W. saying, I'm not gonna tell you. Then you've got people like Hillary Clinton that say and make promises, I'll look into it and I will release the files. History, though, shows us what happens. because we have multiple presidents that have not only tried to look into UFOs, but have had their own UFO sightings. Now, namely, for those who don't know, we'll start with Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter saw a UFO and actually went as far as to make a report, a written report, which you can download. I've got it on the blackvault.com as well. I'll link it in the show notes below. But what's interesting is that Jimmy Carter took the time to actually write it out and submit it to the International UFO Bureau. And I had interviewed Hayden Hughes, the founder of that, many years ago for History Channel show. And he was the one that actually got President Carter to fill this out. President Carter had an immense interest in UFOs prior to becoming president. It was believed that he was going to go in, research UFOs, what the government knew, and give it out to the masses. As we know, that didn't happen. We also know Ronald Reagan saw a UFO. Here's another fun little tidbit for you. I recreated Ronald Reagan's UFO sighting that he had while he was in flight for another totally different History Channel show. And we shot it in a hangar, shot it in a very similar plane he was in. And actually, my now wife, who was girlfriend at the time, was his secretary. We had a Ronald Reagan lookalike in there. It was a lot of fun. So there's some useless information for you about my past. But we recreated the Reagan sighting because this too played a major role in Reagan's presidency when it came to UFOs and his thirst for figuring out what the truth was and releasing the information to the public. What happened? Absolutely nothing. He didn't release anything. Fast forward to Barack Obama's administration, we know that John Podesta had a huge influence, not only with Obama, but that entire group of people. And you couple that with his interest in UFOs. He even said on the record, well, I should say more in a tweet, but he said himself, and tweeted this out there, that one of his biggest regrets was not getting the president to release UFO information. Why is that? We don't know. We don't know if that happened. We don't know if anything came to fruition, but we do know after Barack Obama's administration, absolutely nothing happened. So history shows us that a president has one of two things. Number one, they're not in a position to release anything. Or number two, they are in a position to release something. They find out what the truth is, and then they go, there's no way that the public can handle this. I'm on the fence which one it is, but I will say that I do not believe a president would be in the know. And the reason I truly believe that, is because the president of the United States is too much in the spotlight. When you look at today's society and you look at today's world, look at the current president of the United States. Doesn't matter which way you lean, but what does he do? He communicates with the masses via Twitter and his Facebook, and he has an Instagram account. I don't use Instagram, but apparently he does. And he just puts those thoughts out there. He's in the spotlight. He's too in the know. He can take secrets, which should be indefinite when it comes to the intelligence community. That's not me supporting that, but rather that is the reality behind it, is that secrecy is in perpetuity. So they want those secrets. The intelligence community wants those secrets to last forever. That's the way they maintain control. They, meaning the intelligence community as a whole. That doesn't come down to one particular person, but rather the intelligence community as a whole. The many non-elected, but rather appointed officials that, yes, may be tied to certain administrations, but I believe that there is an unwritten rule to essentially keep the president in the dark. It gives them plausible deniability. If something comes out, let's say MK Ultra like, or the MK Ultra program, we know that the president essentially didn't authorize that. It was Alan Dulles, the director of the CIA. What they do is they make these calls on the side. You really think that the president was briefed on all of that all the time, or if at all? Likely not, because those appointed officials are put in there to essentially manage that intelligence community, whether it be the CIA, whether it be the NSA, whether it be the DIA, whatever it may be, the president of the United States is the one in the spotlight. They are the ones that can essentially screw everything up. It's believed, although I don't think it's proven, I could be wrong actually, but it's believed that President Trump accidentally spilled classified secrets to Bob Woodward earlier this year in 2020 when he had the multiple interviews with Woodward, which led to his book, and it's a big controversy. Well, obviously that was overshadowed by COVID-19 and all sorts of other stuff. But in the interview, it's believed that Trump talked about a weapon that may have not been fully declassified yet. Now, even though the president has the authority to essentially declassify something, that therein lies the problem. If you give the president the knowledge of something to declassify, you have someone like Trump who actually may do it, and they will go ahead and declassify it, spill those secrets to the United States government, or excuse me, to the United States people, the American people. And they will take that secret that should be maintained in perpetuity and put it out in a tweet. That's why I believe when it comes to the UFO topic, if I were to bet money, the United States president does not have a clue. That they would rather keep it from the most powerful seat in the land for one reason and one reason only, and that's to maintain the secrecy. If the cover-up exists, which I believe it does, that is the best way to keep the secret, because that unwritten rule in the intelligence community will make sure that they maintain it as long as they can, because those in the spotlight, even though you have the Jimmy Carters, Ronald Reagans, even the Gerald Fords who pushed for UFO information. I didn't mention Ford, but he's another one that when he was a congressman, he was pushing for a panel to look at the UFO issue during Project Blue Book years in the mid-'60s to late 60s. And so you've got all these different presidents you can use as an example that once they got into office, absolutely nothing happened. And that's because I believe they are kept in the dark, that when they do ask, let's say Clinton, who also said that he looked into it and they said that they didn't have anything to give him and he believed it, that could be the strategy of the intelligence community to keep those politicians, including the highest office in the land, in the dark. And that's why, although there's a lot of people out there wanting disclosure to happen or thinking we're on the cusp of it, I don't believe that we're on the cusp of it at all. I think the writing is on the wall that when it comes to the government, they are trying to keep the lid of secrecy on this as tight as they can and do or say things to shut down the public knowing. Then you ask the president of the United States, he goes, yeah, I'll look into it. Well, maybe he already did. And they go, sir, we got nothing to tell you. And Trump's got a lot more other things to worry about. So he goes, okay, thanks. So when he hears a question like this, he just goes ahead and says, yeah, I'll look into it, when he's already been told, yeah, there's nothing to it. So I think that the president in the end is ultimately kept in the dark because they are not in perpetuity. They leave after 4 or 8 years and no longer. So those types of secrets that would stretch for decades, there's absolutely no rhyme or reason or right to know or need to know for the United States president to learn about it. Because more often than not, those types of secrets never pertain to him or her, maybe in the future, but they will never have to deal with it. But rather it would be the intelligence agencies that keeps the lid on the secrecy. But that's why they'll keep them in the dark.